Hello everyone. This lecture will talk about interface design principles that can be used to increase the usability of your project. Also, we will talk about virtual reality and augmented reality and their design considerations. And finally, different stages of software design and how we can increase users' engagement with the use of gamification techniques will be discussed. Before talking about user interface design principles, you need to know the meaning of usability. Usability means that if users can use the system easily. So when we apply the user interface design principles, we increase the usability. There are three usability factors that can be improved by applying design principles. The first one is effectiveness. It means if users can understand the purpose of a website or software when they see it for the first time. The second one is efficiency, which means the number of clicks and mouse movement or time that is required to complete a task using the target system. And finally, satisfaction, which is about users feeling about the system. Here you can see a list of user interface design principles that we should consider in order to increase the usability of our systems. The first design principle is match between system and the real world. This principle says that we should use real world names, object shapes, and present information in a logical order. This picture shows an example of the icons that are designed based on the real-world objects and concepts. As you can see, you don't need to read any user manual to learn the usage of these tools. And just by seeing the icons, you can understand the purpose of each one and you can work with the software easily. Regarding the textual content of our software, we should try to use the words that are similar to the language that we normally use in our daily life. For example, the text in the confirmation message box number 2 matches the real word, but number 1 uses more computer-oriented words. Since when we want to purchase something in our daily life, we use the words such as yes and no, not submit and cancel. We should always design our software based on the real-world process. For example, if we want to design a mobile app for a restaurant, the system should follow the steps that really happen when we go to a restaurant. The second design principle is consistency, which is about having a similar style for all the words and graphics on the website and follow the same layout for all the pages of the system. Here you can see an example of consistency for all the pages of Yahoo Sport. As you can see, we have the same header, same color theme, and similar layout in all the pages. Also here you can see an example of consistency in Microsoft Office applications. As you can see, all the applications including PowerPoint, Excel, and Word have the same layout, same header, and the same icons for the comment tools. The third design principle is a structure and layout. This principle is about designing a tidy layout and grouping the related tools with each other. In this example, the tools are grouped with each other, but as you can see, the interface doesn't look tidy as there are many tools on the screen and they made the screen very crowded. For solving this issue, we can use a technique like designing a tab style and group the related tools in different tabs. Since this principle is one of the most important principles, we will talk about its detail in the second part of the lecture. The fourth design principle is visibility, which is about showing the main features of the software before users' eyes and make the main tools as visible as possible. The fifth design principle is visibility of system status, which means that we should inform users about what's going on and showing them a live update about different processes of systems, such as showing them a progress bar for uploading or downloading a file or a confirmation after they commit to buy something from an e-commerce website. The sixth design principle is flexibility, which is about having different ways for doing the same task. For example, in order to copy and paste in Microsoft Word, we have three different options. We can use the shortcut keys on the keyboard, we can use right click, and we can use the home tab. Or for buying an item from a website like eBay or Amazon, we can use the search feature of the website, or we can go to the items category and find the desired items. The seventh design principle is error prevention, that is about providing a confirmation message to the users before they commit to take an action. For example, before they close a software, ask them if they want to save the file. The eighth design principle is about the content of the message boxes, which emphasizes on providing meaningful message boxes to the users so that they can understand the meaning of the message and perform the correct action. We should avoid designing the message boxes with the contents that are meaningless for the non-professional users, like the examples that you can see in this slide. The ninth design principle is constraints, which is about defining some limitations for preventing users' errors. An example of a constraint is when we want to create a new account and the system asks us to type the password 2 times, and if those two passwords are not the same, the system doesn't let us to create a new account. Another example is when we forget to fill a couple of fields of a form and the system doesn't let us to submit that form. The 10th design principle is affordance, which is about showing users what they can do with the different components of the system. We should inform users which parts are clickable and where they should click, and which parts are not clickable. The other usage of affordance is for the buttons. A button can be a normal button, a pushable button, or a toggle button. So we should inform users if the button is a normal button and it performs just one action, or if it's a toggle button and has two states. As you can see here, the user profile is a button, but it's not clear that it's clickable, so it doesn't have a good affordance. The last design principle is help and documentation. If the software that you develop is complex and it needs to have a help system, you should try to provide a simple help that shows different steps of working with your system in a step-by-step manner and shows different screenshots of the system. Also, we should try to minimize the amount of text and try to show the steps of working with our software with the use of pictures. Now watch this video and write the positive and the negative usability issues that you can see. The positive usability issues in this video are showing the system status and the icons such as recycle bin and the music icons that were matched to the real world concepts. Regarding the negative points, the system didn't show appropriate message to the users with proper language. Also, it didn't prevent error at the beginning. And finally, user couldn't recover from error. As I mentioned before, structure and layout principle is one of the most important user interface design principles. So in this part of the lecture, we will talk about the details of this principle. The first step in interface design is designing layout and flow of the system. The order of the things and their flow should be in a logical order. Also, the system layout should be meaningful and easy to understand. Eye movement across an interface should form a logical path that enable users to efficiently accomplish goals and tasks. In versatile languages, the eye will move from top to bottom and left to right. Based on this principle, which picture do you think has an appropriate flow? Number 1 or number 2? As you can see, picture 1 shows a flow where eye movements match paths through the interface, but in number 2, everything is all over the place. There are different principles for layout design. One of the most important principles is called symmetry, that provides a visual balance to the page, like this picture. Interfaces that don't employ symmetry tend to look unbalanced. Here you can see an example of considering symmetry principle. As you can see, all the elements are balanced and we have a clean interface. Look at this sample website. As you can see, it has a symmetrical grid. If you remove the extra elements from the side, you can see the layout blocks that are designed based on a symmetry principle. Here you can see an example of a layout without considering the symmetry principle. We should try to have a symmetrical design, but sometimes we can't have a symmetrical design, especially for the complex pages. Look at these two websites. As you can see, they have asymmetrical layout. The columns aren't equal in size. The content blocks have different amounts of content and they have different sizes. But it doesn't mean that they don't have a good design. Sometimes it is not possible to have a symmetrical layout. Another important factor for designing a good layout is considering alignment. In general, every element on the screen should be aligned with as many other elements as possible. Considering this can help to reduce visual noise, make finding the information easier, and make the screen visually pleasing. In particular, designers should try to align the labels of the form elements with each other unless labels have different lengths. In this case, left justification is suggested. Designers should also align the related elements such as checkboxes, radio buttons, or text fields based on a grid. And finally, designers should align groups of elements with each other. It means that groups of elements and other screen elements should all follow the same grid size when possible. One of the most important characteristics of a professional layout is adaptability to the different screen resolutions. Responsive layout is a type of layout that can adapt itself to the different screen sizes. Bootstrap is the framework that can be used to make the responsive layouts. In addition to considering the symmetry principle and alignment, we should try not to make the screen crowded by having unnecessary content or redundant information, as they can increase cognitive load and increase the need for searching the desired content. Another important factor that can improve the layout is applying white spaces. This technique can provide a separation between elements. It can also help to reduce visual clutter and improve the balance of the elements. White space as a concept differs from purpose to purpose. For example, there might be plenty of white spaces on a home page so that the focus is kept on the target content or a specific feature like search bar on Google website. Websites like Apple and Google use lots of white spaces in their pages to have a minimalistic design. As you can see in this example, the white space can help to attract the user's focus on the new iPhone. Paragraph margins and line spacing are two important things to keep in mind when optimizing your text content. Generally, the larger the spacing, the better experience the users will have while reading the text. However, too much spaces can break the unity and make the design disconnected. As you can see in the left example is pretty cramped, but in the right one spacing could increase readability. Please consider that lack of white space puts a strain on the reader's eyes. Using the group boxes is the other technique that can make the layout tidy. We can form the group boxes by drawing a line around a series of the related elements and add a label for the group. Here we have an example of group boxes in Microsoft Word ribbon. As you can see, the related tools are grouped and a label is allocated to each one. We have font group, paragraph group, and style group. Here is another example for group boxes. As you can see on Amazon website, the related contents are grouped very well, which can help to find what we want easily. In order to have a professional grouping, we should consider the elements contrast, similarity, and layering to distinguish and organize the interface elements. Layering means grouping the tools with a similar difficulty level and usage. For example, having two groups for the tools like basic tools and the advanced tools. Color is another important aspect of interface design. Color can draw attention to important items, indicate relationships, and show status or other information. We have three types of colors: primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. Primary colors are red, yellow, and blue, and they can be formed by any combination of other colors. All other colors are derived from these three colors. Secondary colors are green, orange, and purple that are formed by mixing the primary colors. And finally, tertiary colors are yellow-orange, red-orange, red-purple, blue-purple, blue-green, and yellow-green that are formed by mixing a primary and a secondary colors. That's why the color name is a two-word name. We should try to have an appropriate balance and harmony of colors on the page. Harmony is something that is pleasing to the eye and can engage the viewers. When there isn't any harmony on the website, it will be boring. Also, the human brain rejects what it is not organized. There are some methods for having appropriate color harmony: analogous colors, complementary colors, and triadic colors. Analogous colors are any three colors which are side by side on the tertiary color wheel, such as green, yellow, and orange. Here you can see an example of analogous colors. This mobile app is another example of using analogous colors. It's a task manager app and use analogous colors to visually prioritize important tasks and highlight the most critical ones. Complementary colors are built by combining the opposite colors in the tertiary color wheel. They can be any two colors which are directly opposite each other, such as red and green, purple and yellow. Complementary colors can be used to make something bold from its background. A good example of using appropriate complementary colors can be seen in mean.com website. The green color that is used in the header background is very light, and the use of the complementary orange for the sign up and get started buttons stands out the main actions. The triadic is composed of three colors on separate ends of the color spectrum. There is a very easy way to create a triadic color scheme. First, you should choose your base color, then draw a triangle from that point. By using this method, you can ensure the colors complement each other properly. Here you can see an example of triadic colors. This example is a picture that is painted based on the triadic colors. The header of this website used almost a triadic color scheme, with blue as the background color, yellow for the main buttons, and we have red color in the header and in the trolley picture. Although there are other colors, but these three colors are the dominant colors. For websites, it's better to use maximum 4 colors and use the colors found in nature, especially for the background colors. Different colors can be used for different purposes. We can use colors to make the layout and separate the sections of our website. Also, we can use colors to show connection between the website elements. Finally, warm colors can be used to imply actions and cool colors to imply status. Contrast. In interface design, the primary tool we use to draw the user's attention is contrast. Contrast is vital to drawing the user's attention to the main aspects of the interface. It can also help users to understand the relationship between the interface elements. Using colors for a text, it should be considered that placing two colors with low contrast next to each other can make your text very difficult to read. It doesn't matter if they are complementary or analogous colors. This is especially important on mobile screens, where users are more likely to be outdoor and have glare on a screen. Here you can see some examples of wrong and correct complementary colors. It's very important that you use the colors that have enough contrast with each other. As you can see in this example, your eyes are drawn straight away to the green button because it's contrasting strongly with the background color. There are some online tools for checking foreground and background color combinations to determine if they provide good color visibility and they have good color contrast. They also provide some functions to simulate different visual conditions such as color blindness. One of the best websites for checking color contrast is Vision Australia. Here you can see some other links that can be used to check color contrast of your website. This picture is a Snoke website that can help you to find an appropriate color contrast by combining different colors for the background and the foreground. Now I want to talk about new technologies that need special design principles, virtual reality and augmented reality. Virtual reality creates a simulated environment, and unlike traditional user interfaces, VR places the user inside an experience. Instead of viewing a screen, users are able to interact with a 3D world and play the role of a character in the virtual world. VR has different usages in 3D movies, education, or games. This video shows how VR can be used in education.
The virtual reality education platform designed to conquer learning challenges and change the way we look at classrooms. Vredo has all the convenience of a real classroom. There's a whiteboard, a projector screen, you can change students' seats, talk to them individually or as a group. But Vredo also allows us to change the way we teach. We can project 3D holograms into the classroom and even teleport the entire class to exotic locations using 360 video, redefining the meaning of school excursions. The virtual reality education platform designed to conquer learning challenges and change the way we look at classrooms. Vredo has all the convenience of a real classroom. There's a whiteboard, a projector screen, you can change students' seats, talk to them individually or as a group. But Vredo also allows us to change the way we teach. We can project 3D holograms into the classroom and even teleport the entire class to exotic locations using 360 video, redefining the meaning of school excursions.
Augmented reality or AR is the combination of virtual reality and real life, and developers can create images or applications that are blended in the real world. With AR, users are able to interact with virtual contents in the real world. One of the best examples of augmented reality is Microsoft HoloLens. The philosophy behind the HoloLens is that although we can't install large screens everywhere, we can have unlimited virtual screens in our place. Watch this video to see what HoloLens is.
What if we could go beyond the screen, where your digital world is blended with your real world? Now we can. This is the world with holograms. What will they enable us to do? New ways to visualize our work.
I have an idea for the fuel tank.
New ways to share ideas with each other.
I just put the images in OneDrive.
Perfect.
More immersive ways to play. New ways to teach and learn.
So put the new trap in the place of the old one.
Now what?
And tighten here and here.
New ways to collaborate and explore the places we've never been.
Look at this formation. Let's take a closer look.
And new ways to create the things we imagine. Because when you change the way you see the world, you can change the world you see. This is your world with holograms.
When we want to design interface for VR or AR applications, there are two new design principles that we should consider. The first one is discoverability, which is about giving users enough freedom and guidance to discover what all they can do with a software or game. It can be done by providing appropriate hints and tooltips. The second one is scalability, that is about how well gestural interactions work on objects with different sizes. It means users should have different feeling when they touch different objects in a virtual environment. For instance, grabbing a 3D object like a cube that is really small is not going to be same as grabbing a similar object with a different scale. Now you are familiar with the interface design principles. In this part of the lecture, we will talk about different stages of design that you need to follow in order to adapt your software based on the user's needs. The first step of designing the interface is defining the stakeholders. Stakeholders mean all the target users of our system and all the people that will use our system in different ways. For example, for an e-commerce website, the stakeholders are buyers, retailers, suppliers, advertisement companies, and people with disabilities. People with disabilities are an important group of users that we should always consider them in our design. After defining the stakeholders, the next step is collecting data from the target users. There are two different methods for data collection. The first one is using interview and the other one is using questionnaire. We normally use the questionnaire for asking the questions such as yes or no, that is called closed question, and ask the questions about demographic of the users. But interview is used for asking more in-depth questions. Based on the collected data from the users, we should write some scenarios for each stakeholder. Scenario means different tasks that each group of users can do with the use of our system. For example, here you can see a scenario of buying an item from this mobile app. As you can see, this guy wants to buy an item, so he opens the app, he searches for the desired item, then he sees the results, and finally he clicks on one of the items and completes his purchase. In the data collection process, we find different users' needs and the features that we should add to our system. In wireframing, we visualize those ideas. Wireframing is the process of drawing the layout of the system. Here you can see an example of a wireframe. One important point about the wireframe is that it doesn't have any color or graphic. The only purpose of the wireframe is for designing the layout of the system and defining the placeholders for different components of the system. In wireframing, in addition to showing the layout of the system, we also show the flow and sequence of screens as well. One of the best software that you can use for wireframing is called Balsamiq Mockup software. It's an easy and straightforward software that you can use to create different wireframes with just drag and drop. The next step after wireframing is prototyping. Prototype is a professional form of wireframe. The difference between wireframing and prototyping is that in wireframing we show the layout of the system without any graphic, but in prototyping we design the final product, but it's not fully functional. One of the best software that you can use for prototyping is called Azure. Azure is designed to make functional prototypes, which means that elements of your prototype are dynamic and clickable. The other benefit of Azure is that it can generate HTML code from the prototype for you, and you can use that code in the development stage. After developing our prototype, we should test it on our real users before develop the real version. In the usability test, we normally use 5 to 10 users and we ask them to perform a group of tasks with the use of our prototype in order to evaluate different parts of our system. During performing the tasks, we measure time duration, number of clicks, and we ask the participants to think aloud in order to collect a combination of quantitative and qualitative data. However, if it is difficult for us to use the real users, we can use another approach for testing the usability of the prototype, which is called usability inspection method. There are two types of usability inspection methods. The first method is called heuristic evaluation. In this method, we should compare the usability of the prototype based on the principles of user interface design that we've already discussed in the first part of the lecture. And the second method is called pluralistic walkthrough. In this method, a group of user interface design experts try to complete different tasks using the prototype and discuss about the usability issues of the interface. As the last part of the lecture, we will talk about how we can increase users' engagement with the software that we develop. Since the life of apps and software depend on the user's input and their engagement, we should try to find the solutions to make our products interesting for the users so that they open our apps and work with them. One of the most efficient techniques to increase users' engagement is applying game thinking in design. There are three solutions that we can apply to make a software game-like: game-inspired design, serious games, and gamification. Look at this diagram. Let me explain this diagram from below to top. As you can see, we have four main elements in the normal games: game thinking, game elements, gameplay, and the purpose is just for fun. But in serious games, the purpose is not for fun. They are designed for learning. In contrast with normal video games and serious games, in gamification, we don't have gameplay and users don't control any character or play in a gaming environment. Finally, in game-inspired design, we only have an interface which is fun and like a game interface. Here you can see an example of game-inspired design. As you can see, it has a fun interface, but there isn't any gameplay or game element. Here you can see two screenshots of serious games. As you can see, in addition to the fun interface, there are two game elements like character life and a score, and users should move the character and play a game to go to the next level. And here we have other example for serious games. I think you're familiar with this example. It's flight simulator game that is designed for training pilots. Serious games are used in four areas: in teaching, to teach a concept using gameplay; in simulators, to allow safe practice and testing; in meaningful games, to promote a meaningful message to the players, for example, don't cut trees; and finally, in purposeful games, to create direct real-world outcomes. For example, Xbox sport games that can be played with Kinect are good examples of serious games that motivate users to be active. The last game technique is gamification, which is used to increase motivation and engagement in different areas. In contrast with serious games whose purpose is teaching, the purpose of gamification is for increasing motivation. Gamification has different usages. In human resource, to increase personal motivation, engagement, and working performance. In healthcare and sport, it can help to increase physical activities, promote to live healthy, and motivate patients to continue their treatment process. In e-learning systems, to motivate students to spend more time in e-learning systems, motivate them to learn more and increase their class activity. In data collection, to motivate people to participate in data collection process such as crowdsourcing for a research or survey. In online community, to increase users' motivation to participate in a specific online community like a blog or a social website. And finally, it can help to increase software popularity by increasing users' loyalty to use a specific software for a longer period of time. Here you can see a sample of gamification in an e-learning platform. As it can be seen, there are some elements of game like point, progress bar, and badge. However, there is no gameplay, and users don't play any game. They can just get points and badge based on their performance in the e-learning platform. For example, when they watch a video or answer a couple of questions, they can get points and unlock badges. This example is one of the best examples of using gamification in sport apps. In this app, you can define some competitions like run for 20 kilometers in Mali. Then people can join the competition and it ranks people based on different factors like time duration and their speed. Here we have an example of gamification for learning software. This gamified learning platform is designed by Autodesk to encourage novice users to improve their AutoCAD working knowledge. There are some tasks, and by completing each task, users can get some points and unlock the next level. This one is a survey which is gamified. There is an avatar here, and by answering each question, it gets different accessories like armor or sword, and at the end it becomes a hero. Now watch this video and see how combination of virtual reality, augmented reality, and gamification can change people's life.
Welcome.
Snail zombies from your backyard.
Life is a journey, and in this journey, we all want to do more, experience more, feel more, and live with no boundaries. And why shouldn't we? Sight System presents Sightseeing. Feel free to go anywhere. Reminder.
Date at 9 p.m. Choose outfit.
Patrick. Patrick.
Oh, hi. Hi, Daphne. How are you? Sorry.
It's okay.
You look great.
Thank you. Love your jacket.
Thanks. It's a sports jacket, so it's a lot less official than it looks.
What do you mean?
Sorry?
What's the difference between a sports jacket and a normal one?
I guess a sports jacket is for people who want to look good even when they're chased by the police.
Oh. Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you're hungry. This place has the best burgers in town.
Oh, actually I'm vegetarian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really? Because you didn't say it on your profile, so...
Well, I don't write everything on my profile, so...
Do you want to go somewhere else?
No, it's okay. I'll find something on the menu.
Well, how about a glass of wine, for starters?
Yeah. Great.
So, are there any other things on your profile that you didn't write about that I should know, or... Aren't you scared of jogging by yourself in the city?
Not really. Besides, I'm about to hit level 5 on Marathon Master.
Pretty impressive.
I know. What is scary though? On my last route, my site crashed. So scary. I didn't see anything. I couldn't find my way home.
Site doesn't crash.
Oh, it did? I was totally lost. I didn't see anything.
That doesn't happen since our last patch.
Do you work there or something? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What do you do there?
Nothing serious. I'm just a simple engineer.
Actually, I read about your company in the news. Is it true that you guys implant stuff and manipulate people's sights?
No. It's just bullshit. But anyway, I don't want to talk about work. Not when I'm here with such a pretty lady.
You know, you really get me.
You know, I can tell what you're thinking right now.
Really? What?
Well, we finished our drinks. What are we going to do? How about we go to my place for a nightcap?
Well, if you're so good in reading my mind, you should know what I'm going to say.
There it is. Make yourself at home.
Nice place you've got here.
It's alright, I guess. A toast for a perfect night.
Why are you drinking?
What's that? A dating app.
That's it for this lecture. If you have any question, please post it on the course website, and good luck with your presentations.